Stumpy, we just yesterday casted Spacestation versus FaZe. We saw a winner from that match, and I still am maybe less confident in my understanding of who I think is going to win.
I have quite literally no idea, because both these teams are very much peaking at the moment. Spacestation ending that run that Ghost Gaming were going on. They got their best finish ever in an event, and Spacestation shut them down. They closed the airlock, let them suffocate out in the deep black abyss. And FaZe Clan, they've only just fallen down to G2 today. It was 4-1 though, and they did get slapped about a little bit, because G2, my word, they look sensational. History will tell you these teams go toe-to-toe very often, only just in favor of Spacestation. 6 out of the last 10 going their way, but it really is anybody's matchup today.
Gibbs was talking about how First Killer had kind of a rough start to the day, and if that moment right there in front of the Space Station goal is any indicator, it might be continuing. He's going to have to figure out how to adjust and get his wheels back under him mid-series here. Space Station in the blue, FaZe in the orange, a best of 7 to stay alive and advance to the grand finals. First Killer off the wall, flip reset, and uses it immediately, and Daniel will now take over control. Typical tries to follow this, and Arsenal just sitting, lurking in front of the FaZe half, looking for an opportunity to move in. Not going to find anything just yet, though. And First Killer, again, I mean, it's just an air ball here. Typical will punt it to the sky and chase it.
Good look for both these teams so far, just working into this series as we see them do so frequently. To me, FaZe kind of looking like the ones who are having a couple more looks on net, but Arsenal, he has been one of the most impactful players through this entire first regional that we have seen. He is right now tied for the most goals scored in the tournament at 26, only behind Chicago. It's huge, the performance he has had. And also inspired by Joyo, and I assume yourself, Waypunt, by rocking the Mustang.
The Mustang Mach-E here making waves in the pro scene. Arsenal has been pushing it forward. Here's First Killer into the corner. 2 players there. First Killer again to pick up his own touch. It's deflected by Daniel. Rettles on the chase and takes his time. I'm not certain he called himself off maybe and just kind of falls behind it, just barely out of possession. Now Arsenal with an opportunity. Only 12 boosts in the tank, loses the challenge. Daniel keeps it on the ground and plays it to the corner. AJ will move in on the challenge. Also out of boost, a little bit low, and a few tanks on the pitch right now.
Yeah, good chance for Space Station to push it. Daniel finding Rettles in the bottom corner is smashed through. I was looking at Daniel here to see how he was going to approach this, because that roll around is awkward. He catches it wonderfully, draws First Killer in, and then threads the needle. All 3 FaZe players up to try and save that, no matter where it went, and yet Rettles still found an opening.
I love his pass there. It's a difficult play to make to get the ball down like that. You see Daniel kind of get on top of the ball and then front flip down into it to shove it downwards towards Rettles. Usually that pass is going across the field, and that maybe throws off the defensive phase just a little bit. And they'll suffer the first goal. FaZe now looking to rebound here. Typical through the sky, over the top of Arsenal, onto the backboard, and Rettles play to the outside. Daniel set up a net as First Killer, gets it past Rettles. Daniel now out of goal and onto the backboard. Getting control. Now Typical up against 2, flicks 1, Rettles to the outside, a demolition in front of the goal. JJ's got an open net here, but Rettles rebounds. Quick U-turn on the back wall to jump back across and make a stop.
Yeah, good for chances for FaZe to work their way through that back line, but Arsenal yet again clearing that ball away. Typical removing Rettles from the back, and Daniel has to follow it up down the left side, a player that I would say has been pretty statistically insignificant through this event, and not the player that we saw at the major. Although Space Station have got it, and they've all looked pretty good, First Killer decides to turn into a Predator missile and take down a couple of players mid-air. Daniel does manage to remain on the pitch, however, and yeah, I think I want to see just a bit more from Daniel. We saw him really pop off at the major, and I don't want the regionals to be him, you know, being a bit calmer. Continue being that crazy 15-year-old that we saw to rock everybody's minds.
It has been the Arsenal show, and then when Arsenal is being quiet, we've seen Rettles really stepping up. Daniel has been surprisingly the quietest member of the team in this event, which just leaves an X factor unknown here as Daniel now taking control, going for the flick, and Typical already in the air. Finds a block. Rettles now trying to set up Arsenal. AJ off the back wall, keeps that ball high. Arsenal moves up for it, but gets bumped off of it. Daniel will win a challenge loosely against AJ, and then Typical just drives it down the middle of the field, just trying to earn his team a little bit more space in the back third.
Really good rotation from Spacestation, keeping this pressure on, getting those tiny touches to keep FaZe guessing where the ball is going to be ending up. With Daniel now on the attack, fakes out one and a second, it rolls so tantalizingly in front of net. And Rettles, look at him removing first killer from the pitch, but a great play by Typical only gets it as far as Arsenal. The push from Spacestation continues, and they have the lead. FaZe need to get something soon, and AJ may be the start of it.
Earned a bit of space, but Daniel winning the challenge on the wall. Final 30 seconds approaching. Spacestation enjoying a 1-goal lead. Can they hold on to it? This ball rolls off the top corner. AJ now following Arsenal onto the wall, looking for goal number 2. Into the box. First killer keeps on the ground. Rettles will pinch it to the corner. Another touch sends it to midfield. Here's first killer, final 13 seconds. Arsenal wins another challenge. Rettles out of the side, not going to be able to find it. Here's a pass play and not connected. FaZe looking for all the pieces. They're finding one piece here, another piece there, not able to string them together. Clock has expired. They've got to score a buzzer beater, and the ball's going the wrong direction. Typical will try to catch it, connect with first killer on the wall. Does he have enough boost? Down into the ground. Arsenal should be able to kill this, and he does. Spacestation to take game 1, 1-0.
After Spacestation scored, they turned into a completely different beast where they were making sure that they enveloped every play. They were in the way as often as they could be. There were no chances where you saw FaZe have a clear-cut angle. Yes, they would shoot, but there would always be a man in position to save that ball away in more than enough time as well. Daniel leading the points in that match, trying to really step it up, with Arsenal at the bottom, trailing himself. But in the Mobile One high-performance replay, we can see just how many chances FaZe had, and Spacestation cutting them out as early as they could.
That first attempt, I'm scratching my head. I would love to go back and look at the replay from first killer's perspective, see why he thought the bounce was going to go so high. He just moonballs right over the top of it and doesn't put in what would have been the first goal and would have led us to an overtime here. Notable performance, though, I think we didn't really highlight. We didn't talk about Spacestation's defensive output here. Daniel putting up 5 saves, actually earned MVP that game, despite being the player we were talking about being quiet.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when we say Daniel's being quiet, we're saying in relative terms, because he is still like in the upper 50% of every player so far in this regional event. He is the 3rd player on Spacestation statistically. Arsenal is the 5th best player so far we've seen in this regional. You just expect to see Daniel a bit higher. He is by no means playing badly. It's just not the performance we would come to see from him, but the performance we'd see from him is God-killing.
Can he slay a few more? Here's Arsenal against first killer. Now Daniel, low on boost, uses the wall to set up Rettles. Typical off the backboard, and Rettles gets demolished by first killer on the rotation back in. Now Arsenal back in the midfield, reaching for Daniel. AJ with the block. Rettles now up with space, bounces it off the ground. Daniel looks for Typical, but Typical manages to dodge Daniel and get the stop. Arsenal trying to dribble it in. AJ builds a wall. Daniel comes in after the cleanup. That's Spacestation back on top.
Wonderful play from Arsenal to take that low. Look at AJ in just anticipation, waiting for that shot to come in. He's positioned at the rear post so that he can dive forwards and also cover above and behind him. But instead, Arsenal takes it low, draws first killer in for that block as well. Therefore, 2 are positioned, and Daniel can take the shot on the free net. That is really, really intelligent and selfless play from Arsenal, and it gets Spacestation the lead on Aqueduct.
I do think first killer is in a really rough spot there. How does he look at AJ and say, yes, you've got this. I don't need to worry about this play. Oh, but they get one another in. No, Rettles will clean it out. So the double commit does lead to a very free goal for Daniel. Rettles now looking for another bump downfield, trying to set up Daniel. Typical stops, gets one. Rettles and another bump on AJ. AJ and Typical tangled up on top of each other. They have to hit the brakes and just sort out. All right, you go. I'm going to back up. And that little moment of space gives Spacestation more presence. They'll keep the ball in the orange half for now. Finally, first killer over the top of one, but Daniel was just waiting for the challenge with Rettles to resolve so he could take over control, push it right back into FaZe territory.
The continued energetic offense from Spacestation is what is keeping them defensive in this game somehow, where they're making sure that very rarely do FaZe have a chance to get into that half to shoot. So far, we're only seeing a couple of shots go on target, both coming from AJ. Instead, as he takes the skies, he finds nobody, and look at Spacestation, 2 players positioned in time. But it's typical, the man that we've barely mentioned thus far is able to get the first goal for FaZe.
You see both Spacestation players kind of baited to the corner on the touch from Rettles. Daniel following behind, and Shadow probably going for boost, but leaving an opening in a blazing fast shot will tie up the game. FaZe finally on the board for being shut out for roughly 7 minutes. AJ versus Arsenal on the other side. Here's first killer. A lot of boost in the tank. Just drops it down to Sypical to put it back in the corner. Sypical quickly turning on this, looking for the chase. And Daniel looking for the extension at midfield. Takes this one away. All of FaZe having to fall back to regain control.
AJ was so low on boost there, and having anybody barrel down on him would have been terrifying. Typical passing central, but look at Brettles able to clear it away. First killer wasn't quite on the same wavelength. It was good defense there from AJ in the previous phase of play. That will be going wide as Daniel catches to the corner. Look at Typical just waiting, lurking, wanting to get that clear away. It will fall in possession of Spacestation Gaming here, and it's a chance for AJ to get the second goal potentially. We're past halfway in this game and sitting even Stevens.
Reynolds with a nice dunk in front of the box. Keeps in possession. Arsenal expecting AJ to slam that ball. Coasts over the top of the play. Now Daniel looking for just the smallest touch. And a towel ball from Arsenal. Okay, brilliant. Cool. Spacestation find all three pieces here. Look at this small play from Daniel that sets this up.
It's so frustrating. Just that little bit, and then Rettles straight to the goal. Sees a man in pink that he wants to remove from that goal line to get the save. Is able to do so absolutely wonderfully. And that is a second goal for Spacestation. Rettles really going for that off-ball play. And my dog absolutely loves it.
It was so many pieces falling into place. Spacestation playing together as a team brilliantly. Have the lead again. Now back down in front of first killer. Rettles will block. Here's Typical up for the shot. Passes across. AJ shoots. Oh, and scores top corner. Wonderful stuff. Tie game.
Just smashing both woodworks, the crossbar, the post, and it's the pass from Typical that allows him to do so. Going across the net and slicing it as well. There's dueling dragons, two of them, 2 goals for FaZe.
1:51 left to go. Spacestation enjoying the lead in the series, trying to extend it here. But FaZe will not give it to them easily. Reynolds now through the sky onto the backboard. Got a little bit of space, but doesn't find a double tap. Arsenal now full take-up boost, getting challenged by AJ. He'll win the challenge. Follow-up from Daniel. Oh! I think it's faked out by the goalie. Arsenal into an empty net, though, will not miss. And that's Spacestation back on top.
Arsenal had 26 boost there, and you can just see his heart rate elevate now. He's like, oh my God, I can't miss this. I literally can't miss this. And Typical, thankfully, he's then absolutely flying by Typical, because anytime Typical got was taking it out the path of the, quite frankly, sluggish Arsenal.
Did first killer intentionally fake Daniel? I think there's no way he did, knowing that there's just a free bouncing ball. Like, if he did fake Daniel, he got exactly what he wanted, and it still turned into a goal. I think he knows he has to challenge there, and just hope that he can manage to squeeze a clear out of that very dangerous 1v1. But here on the other side, they've got an opening. First killer immediately bounces back and ties it up.
Oh, first killer. In the midfield, look at that, actually gets the reset, lands, immediately jumps, and then gets such a powerful flick, 58 miles an hour, with a flick to the opposite post as soon as he lands. That is class.
Daniel had the rest of the goal covered. That was the only place he could shoot and actually put it into the net. Tie game again as AJ losing a challenge barely to Arsenal. He extends the play. Now Daniel onto the back wall looking for more, but AJ takes it away. Final minute of game 2. Tie game again. A double commit on offense, Arsenal and Daniel, but they'll reground themselves. Here's Reynolds with a challenge. First killer dropping it to Typical up against Daniel and net. He'll bump Daniel away. Arsenal going to be alone up against AJ. Sends it to first killer. They try to redirect it around the goalie, but no. Arsenal and the post working together, and now a breakaway down the rest of the field. Oh my goodness, Spacestation continued to have the lead.
Oh, that fake nearly worked perfectly, but that ricochet from the ball leads Arsenal to just be able to tap it in from the top of the Mac E. And 4 goals for Spacestation, giving them the lead here on Aquadom. They already took game number 1. This would be 2 versus FaZe, and question marks potentially of a timeout coming.
Every player on FaZe with a goal right now. They have done work to stay alive in this game. But Arsenal, a hat trick. How do you deal with a player as on fire as Arsenal is right now? Here's Reynolds off the wall, looking for a double tap, setting up Arsenal, but first killer will clear it away. Now back to Typical, back to first killer, back to AJ. The pass game from FaZe, moving the ball up the field cleanly, but final 10 seconds, they've got to put it in the net. Here's Typical, over the top of first killer. Arsenal with lots of space and boost in the sky, just gonna build a wall in front of AJ. The clock has expired. Can they get it the full length of the field? No. Spacestation puts it into the ground and wins game 2.
Really good game management yet again from Spacestation, knowing that they just had to hold it as much as they could and just keep it as far back. And Arsenal getting that hat trick. We are confirming the first killer has called for a timeout as well after 2. I think most casts, all casts that are agreed, take the timeout after 2, not 3, right?
The leading analysts of the game of Rocket League agree in a best of 7. Don't wait to use your timeout until you're on match point here. We'll see. We did see FaZe take a timeout in this exact situation yesterday, and it turned into a win for them. But we just watched them also in the last series take a timeout and have it not matter. So I don't know what sort of adjustments they need to be making here. I see them playing as a team. The problem right now is Arsenal, and honestly the better team cohesion we're seeing out of Spacestation.
I mean, you're saying about yesterday, you know, looking at how it echoes from what we saw in the upper semifinals. Like I said, Spacestation winning game 1, game 2 in that, and then the timeout from FaZe, and then FaZe win 4 on the trot. That may well be how today goes. Arsenal, though, can confirm, is now the top goal scorer that we are seeing in the competition so far. Until that grand finals happens, where G2 are playing and Chicago can continue bumping his numbers, he took the short route. He didn't 400 IQ this and go to the lowest to get more goals, just to get the amount that he needed to pip him to the post. But yeah, FaZe Clan, their timeouts have been very, very effective. Spacestation, they do get obviously the exact same amount of time to deal with this, figure out how they want to counter it. You know, both these teams are so incredibly intelligent with this game, and they know how to manage each other. They are very, very seasoned at fighting each other for these positions. But FaZe, they want to work past that 3rd, 4th finish, as this is their 6th tournament in a row where they have finished 3rd and 4th. And that is the minimum they can do right now. Getting to that finals would be big for them to break that trend.
We see the way that Spacestation just was continuously breaking down the defense from FaZe in these clips. Meanwhile, FaZe just finding the snipes on the other end, constantly picking the pocket. It felt like FaZe was having to work harder on offense to earn the goals they earned there in a losing effort. Spacestation is finding ways to create openings using each other, using the bumps that Reddles has pioneered in this scene right now. FaZe is playing a more difficult game.
Yeah, and that physicality is something that I think separates Spacestation from a lot of teams, especially at the top level, and it can really frustrate them. But it's not like FaZe are shying away from that whatsoever. We saw how well they did previously.
Oh.
Look at that link-up, though, immediately. No physicality needed as Arsenal secures the tummy touch with his Mac E, gets that flip reset, and Reynolds swiping across the net, across 2 defenders, attempting to save it away.
That is my favorite type of shot, the kind of over-shoulder, cross field, across your body, playing to the other side there. He's intercepting the line that the defender is reading there and playing it back the other way. Brilliant play from Spacestation. And you cannot say enough about either of the touches, either Arsenal's or Reynolds here. But now on the other side, AJ looking to equalize, runs into some defenders. Typical with a lot of boost. They got too strong of a hit on the ceiling. Ball fell out of possession, and now on the other side, Spacestation just being menaces.
Yeah, wanting to remove as many players as they can from FaZe. As I always say, easier to play 2v3 than 3v3, so you may as well give it a go. But FaZe are not going to be going down without a fight, sending as many mortars down range as they possibly can. But with Arsenal on this left wall, Rettles is central. We've seen this story before. We know how it ends, and Arsenal completes the storybook.
And by threatening the double tap here, it doesn't even matter if Reynolds makes it. The defenders have to dive for it, and it leaves the goal open for Arsenal. 2-0 now for Spacestation in Game 3.
Within the first minute as well. Really, really strong showing from them. Certainly looking at how they managed the timeout from FaZe yesterday and wanting to change those fates. But FaZe, of course, very much still in this and have been such a strong team at working their way back into a series. One more, though. If Spacestation do get this, it means that a reverse sweep will need to be on. Not too common is that result. That's typical AJ double committing. You do not want to be seeing echoes of FaZe of past.
This was what we witnessed yesterday, and especially in the first 2 games against Spacestation. FaZe, when feeling under pressure, start to double commit. They feel every single player on this pitch knows they have the skills, they have the mechanics to make the clutch plays, but when all 3 or just 2 are going for it at the same time, it creates massive weaknesses that Spacestation can exploit. So have to sort that out. You cannot be making those sorts of mistakes. Here it comes. Oh, an open goal for Typical. He won't miss this time. They bait some players onto the back wall with a double commit, actually, and FaZe manages to get into the goal.
I like this, the double commit, and literally nobody touches it. Typical is there for that third touch, and it means that Rettles, he is caught with his trousers down, does not know that he needs to defend that, now waiting for the ball to pop out somewhere else. Instead, FaZe with their goal in game number 3 may well be instrumental. Still need another one to tie it up, but certainly a start.
Got their work cut out for them here, especially after dropping games 1 and 2. AJ and
commit.
First Killer again on top of each other. Typical, though, going to try and connect with First Killer into an open net, and it goes in for the tie game. Spacestation giving FaZe so many free balls right now.
Yeah, there's a really good chance that we are fundamentally stupid, Wavepunk, because we said the double commits aren't going to work, and yet both their goals have come from such.
Okay, so, but you look in the replay, you saw one Space Station player. I think the problem here is the 0 commit, not really, but like the lack of presence from Space Station in this situation to punish that sort of double commit there. I don't know. I still don't like the double commit. The pass works just as well with 1 player up there instead of 2. But either way, FaZe will take it.
Oh,
and then they win the challenge and they got the lead.
Speaking of those passes, this is what we see from First Killer, where he just nips in for that boost. Rettles has to guard the shot, has to guard the pass. In the end, he can do neither. AJ lurking central and can send a brilliant shot dead in the heart of Space Station's defense.
Just like that, FaZe on top. Enjoying a lead. Possibly for the first time this series. If I remember correctly, a nice bump there, but Rettles there covering behind. Will not give FaZe a shot. AJ lurking in front of the box, waiting for an opportunity, but falls off. Gets called off by First Killer. Full boost, but didn't like that initial trajectory. Bails on the shot. Arsenal will play it back to midfield. FaZe slowly gaining control of the midfield here as they've spaced out their rotations.
Love AJ's idea there, going for the man instead of the ball so early on, where he knew he was never going to get it. And Space Station with another double commit coming out from then, learning, taking a page from that FaZe playbook, but not quite working out for them. That is a very awkward, typical chance for a shot, but Daniel able to get the nose of his Octane to it. Central from Rettles, and does manage to beat out AJ. It's typical at the back, finding First Killer. AJ is also there, lurking and waiting, and Arsenal with a pre-jump save. FaZe, this vice, gripping and tightening on Space Station.
Space Station starting to win a few more 1v1s in the midfield. For a few minutes there, they were getting absolutely dismantled and giving FaZe so many opportunities. Here's Arsenal, though, up against AJ, looks for the flip reset, takes it underneath, and pitches it off the post, bounces back into Arsenal into the goal. What a play!
Now that's what I call calculated. Arsenal with the flip reset, takes it down, and then the double touch again from that right post, being very much the 4th player of Space Station in this series. Great positioning from him. We sometimes call then that Champ 2 play, where you just happen to fall in the right place at the right time. But every goal counts for 1.
That was crazy. The full, like, freestyle air roll into it as well. And then just straight pinball around for a tie game. 1:05 on the clock. Space Station have not played their best Rocket League in this game, and yet still could earn match point with 1 more goal. Daniel getting bumped down and getting chased the drag race across midfield. Now Rettles taken away from 1. FK to stop, build a wall, and block. Daniel here against AJ. AJ will take over control. He's got Arsenal underneath him, but still manages to dunk him. Ball bouncing dangerously, and Rettles will just punt it as far down the field as possible. A play from Typical here will connect with First Killer. Daniel in the box will send it right back. Long range ball back and forth from both these teams. Neither one fully ready to commit on the play. Neither one wanting to fall prey to a breakaway goal that we've seen numerous times in this series. And AJ now to the sky. Final 17 seconds. Overtime possible here as they pinch it. Daniel to the outside. First Killer to the corner, and Arsenal gets in the way. Final 10. And oh my goodness, back around. Arsenal up. Daniel trying, but no one has control. And to the outside, this looks like this should go to overtime here in game number 3. Space Station with a goal. We'll be on match point.
Tell you what, though, we see how FaZe started to position themselves at the end, where they kept 1 man at the back, waiting for those long shots first for their chance to fake out. And he does it! That is disgusting!
They just let Arsenal destroy himself, break both their axles, but peace, see ya! First Killer did nothing, and it was everything for the FaZe's first win in the series.
That is just rude. That is mean, that is rude, that is just Everything that Arsenal would not want to have happened. And after a single loss, Spacestation Gaming, they take their time out. They see this as a potential turning point in the series, and they want to shut it down. They're having the echoes of yesterday. FaZe took it on DFH, and then they continue to take it on Utopia, Wasteland, and Neo Tokyo. Spacestation, that deja vu is not one that they want to be reliving.
No, I think this is a good decision, especially given how that match went. Spacestation, we saw FaZe playing arguably their most messy Rocket League of the day. In this game, Spacestation was unable to capitalize on that, and in fact created more openings that FaZe was able to punish despite the double commits there. So I think given the fact that we saw FaZe at their worst and Spacestation still didn't come out on top, if the game actually even goes to overtime, I fully agree with Chrome on this one. This is a good spot to shake off whatever just happened, talk about it, reset.
Yeah, it's a really good chance to just figure out why FaZe were able to double commit and yet still score, and yet score twice with double commits as well. SSG, they're going to be able to come back from that, should they be able to shake off the worries of yesterday. But FaZe, this is where their role starts. This is where that momentum may well build, and they are looking at G2 in the finals, wanting to get their revenge in that bracket reset. They will need to do it twice. They forfeited their right to have any losses later on after losing to G2 earlier. Spacestation, they want to be continuing FaZe Clan's path into 7 third, fourth finishes in a row. Then the FaZe Clan are going to want to be breaking. But on Utopia, that is where things may well be changing. Spacestation, I'm looking at Daniel still, where Arsenal again top that table. Rettles was only just behind him, and then the 3 FaZe Clan members. Daniel has not been the player that we've seen of him.
Yeah, and thinking back on some of these double commits here too, like that first one there that we just saw in the replay, that is still the most insane goal I've seen all day. The first one here, you see like 2 players on the back wall. You see that they've kind of forced a double commit out of Spacestation in the same situation. It's less of a flagrant double commit and more of a very tight commitment, 1-2 after each other, kind of opening up space and really committing to a play on offense. That one didn't bother me as much. The second one, also, it's not that the second one either was, because it was happening in their own half, that it was really particularly flagrant. It's that they didn't get punished for it, and that it turned into a goal the other way. The fact that it became a goal the other direction, I think, is why Spacestation needed to take that time out and say, okay, let's figure out what's going on here, because we should never get scored on in that situation.
But then First is stepping up for the next 2 goals that managed to come out. He got the pass over in the center. He then got the overtime goal by humiliating Arsenal. I really, really like what First Killer does. I think historically you would have seen him have an error, go for those double commits, and then they wouldn't learn from it. And you'd be sitting there frustrated, like, no, that's not how you play Rocket League. That's not how you should be playing. And look, again, going for that pass. Typical does get intercepted, but really, really nice play from First.
First Killer has stepped up at the end of game 3. The player we were waiting to wake up from this FaZe roster. We'll see if that consistency continues here as Rettles now on the wall. 2 players behind him. AJ off the wall will challenge, send it neutral to the corner. Arsenal now in on the play. It's a pass, Typical. Rolls it around the wall. Now has to bail after the clear. Here's the pass down to Typical, looking for the cherry pick. You're trying to cover up Rettles, looking for the dunk, but Rettles gets enough of it to send it to the other side, and Arsenal has the response already in the sky, glued to the ceiling here, setting up Daniel, but a First Killer challenge win will neutralize the drive.
Minute 30 nearly elapsing, and look again, the double commit. Typical, able just to get it wide, isn't able to get it in a good position for him. Arsenal on very low boost, just has to fake to First Killer that is going for it, and First Killer removing him for the absolute audacity of trying to fake him out. Really good opportunity here for FaZe to keep that push on, but Rettles lovely on that right wall, sends it far, wants to besiege that orange net as much as he can on this wonderfully Roman themed or Greek themed. I'm not a historian.
It's got a theme, folks.
Here's got Typical. A theme. It's a historical thing.
First Killer away as Arsenal on the outside now, looking for a block. Kills the momentum on the ball, somehow actually gains control for a moment there, and then neutralizes a second challenge. Typical not able to get it through Daniel. FaZe struggling to get this across the midfield line. Rettles now looking for First Killer to put it in. He paved the way. Arsenal will score goal number 1 of game 4.
AJ has to stare down Arsenal at the death and see what he is able to do with it. Ends up flipping just to the left, thinking it might go that way. Arsenal sneaks it dead center of the goal. Spacestation yet again with the lead in a game. Can they hold it?
First caller's attention has to be on Reynolds there. He's not able to look at Arsenal and make sure he's setting up himself well to deal with the challenge that's inevitably coming from Arsenal. Reynolds just distracting the star player on FaZe and creating an opening for his star player to extend his goal lead over Chicago. Imagine Spacestation versus G2 in a grand finals here, Stumpy, for who's going to have the more goals in the series just comes down to that match.
That'd be fantastic. Still, it's the 400 IQ coming out. The double commit. Instead, the 4 IQ from Typical and AJ, not wanting to either of them abate on that ball. Chance for AJ to work in, but Daniel clearing over to the side. A couple of misses coming in from both teams, actually, where we saw AJ miss a little bit earlier on. First Killer just sends the entire kitchen sink at that play. Doesn't manage to get anything from it. Instead, he just ends up with a kitchen without a sink. Arsenal towards that right wall. Rettles with 100 boost and a bit of mischief up his sleeve as well. Is he able to get that second touch? Goes for the ground pitch over AJ. Is Daniel for the shot. It comes down nicely. Oh, no. Wow! Challenging versus AJ. That goal line save just so stalwart and stoic.
They had 3 in a row that they had to just look at an offensively minded play here. Space-Station has all the advantage. 1v1 situation. FaZe stands strong 3 times in a row. And we'll have oh, he breaks it. What
it was reverse. It was fine. It was a reverse rule too. You can't be too annoyed at that one.
Okay. Here's I can be, but I'll let it pass. With Daniel onto the back wall. First killer away. Typical in the corner, losing to Arsenal. Now up against 2 players. Another bump, trying to open up space, but the players that get bumped just rotate back into the third man so cleanly. Every team adapting to this bump strategy.
That was okay from Typical. That's double commit. Where he took the ball from AJ, but AJ had 0 boost. That double commit is completely fine. That was a great double commit, in fact, because AJ was doing nothing with the ball. I did go for the bump there with 0 boost again. Typical to shoot. Daniel on that backboard. Only 45 seconds remaining. SSG with the lead, but certainly not with the pressure.
Spacestation with a win here. On to match point. FaZe have managed to equalize in most of the games in this series. AJ with a stop on 1. No, this is not the good touches. Here comes Reynolds looking at the goal. Typical. Has to just hit his brakes and flip. They got the ball killed in the corner. 19 seconds left. All the pressure on FaZe, and they can't keep more wheels on the ground in one piece. Typical calls off AJ. Final 10 seconds. Daniel on the back wall. Pinches it.
Oh my gosh.
Now back to AJ. Just takes the shot. Reynolds makes the save. Savior medal for Reynolds. 4 seconds left. FaZe have to put it in. Can they keep it off the ground? Typical up for it. Got enough boost. Pass 1. Off the ceiling. Paving the way. But Daniel comes across the net. Puts it into the ground. Spacestation on match point.
Banishing the demons from yesterday. Utopia. I don't know what kind of ghosts you have. Grecian or Roman. Doesn't matter to me. Spacestation. They get them out of there. That is their win. They just need 1 more to take down FaZe in 5.
I do think it is Greece, by the way. I think
is that what pillars
Ilios? Is it bad that my reference is Ilios from Overwatch? It's also probably a real. It's also there's also the Isaac App music video.
I love that song, Fall.
In this location, yes, from Fall.
I think I'm going to go Roman just so we are right in one way or another. Is that
one
fair?
of us is right?
Yeah.
Tell us on Twitter. You guys know.
Yeah. Wavepunk's not European and I'm an idiot, so we have no right to know.
It turns out to be Russian or something like that. Going into game 5 here. Spacestation currently with the lead. And when thinking about the mistakes, the sloppiness we saw from game 4, I mean, do you feel like this was a substantial adjustment, a substantial improvement? I still feel like we saw a bit of roughness from both teams.
Yeah, for sure. I think we saw double commits come out from both of them. We saw they were going for rushed shots, especially I look at Rettles at the end. He had a chance to get the second goal and said he just kind of hits it gently towards Typical. Sure, it didn't matter, but you'd like to double up if you have the opportunity to do so. I think that was Spacestation really getting back to how they won the first couple. They were smothering FaZe with every opportunity that they had. They weren't surrendering any opportunities that they were giving themselves, and that's what I really enjoyed seeing. FaZe, in the meantime, they looked like they had a bit more cohesion, but there were still those holes forming, especially between Typical and AJ, both committing and leaving First Killer to try and pick up the pieces.
Well, into game 5, Spacestation looking for the win, looking for a lead. As Daniel Neutralized by Typical. Rettles through the sky. He's got Arsenal on the far wall. Arsenal will dismount and look for the shot. Places it well, but just a bit wide, and AJ will get the ball away. Clear down the field now. First killer up against Rettles. Just kills the ball. Typical crowds in to try and tackle. Keeps the ball in the back third, but FaZe forced to disengage. Fall back for boost after a demolition.
I believe that was an Arsenal touch towards the center, and it was just far too slow. There was no chance his teammate was going to get there for it. The Rettles up for the second. He doesn't go for any flip. He just double neutrals, sends it into the net. And what a pass down. The 1-2 between each other. He just has to get the height. And look at Typical and AJ sitting so static. No mobility to them. They just have to double jump and see if they can get their chassis in the way.
The Rettles, I think maybe this constitutes a pre-jump or just the most lightning fast read. Can he get back in time? So close. No, the opening from Spacestation punished by FaZe. Tie game.
That pinch from First Killer rockets and completely throws Arsenal off any of his game. The movement on my screen, at least, maybe it's because I'm on the other side of the world, but Rettles gets a touch on that. That is sheer pixels that grants FaZe their goal.
The pinch around at blistering speed, and then the bounce off the post that goes FaZe's way. What a way to capitalize on some fun physics. Now Arsenal over the top. The goal was wide open, but the ball is just wide out. Daniel and Rettles committing on the far wall. A lot of open field here for FaZe to work with. AJ takes to the sky. Arsenal not going to make the touch, but the follow-up from AJ is no good. Typical trying to connect with First Kill. He's going to go for this one, but Daniel's breathing down his neck. He will barely get to the ball in time. Not able to find a boost. Drops it back into the box. Arsenal with the clear. FaZe trying to keep the pressure on. First Killer sets up AJ. Blocked at the point of contact. Spacestation holding on by a thread.
No play is safe right now. Every single chance that this ball finds in the blue half, there's a shot coming on target. Rettles this time to save it away. 2 minutes gone and 1,000 chances aside.
AJ now up against Daniel. The outside, Typical getting hounded.
Good bump.
We're chasing Arsenal here, just trying to open up space, but not able to find him. Arsenal will get the save. Rettles to Arsenal. Airborne looking for the boost, not going to find any. Arsenal, and then they follow the follow-up shot from Rettles. Now to Daniels, Typical blocks. Rettles trying to fall back. No boost here for Space Station. Daniels falling back. We'll get one stop. And FaZe gives them a bit of space to breathe. Daniel demolishing the midfield. Here goes that space.
I'm happy they've got space to breathe because I feel like I've held my breath for about a minute and a half at this point. This is so intense. Both teams sending everything. It's by no means clean. They are wrestling in mud right now like happy pigs, but my God, are they happy.
It's the right stadium for it, too.
Yeah.
Pretty sure this one's in Texas. I don't know. AJ and Typical. Over one. AJ. The back of the field, Daniel through the sky now. Lots of space here. He lost a bit of possession on the ball, but the rest of Space Station tag teaming some control. Will lose to one challenge. Now punted to the sky. Here's Rettles looking for the drop, covered up by Typical. 1:54 left to go. Tie game. Space Station just trying to end the series here and now. Typical off the wall. Picks up midfield boost, loses a challenge to Arsenal, and Space Station will move right back into the FaZe half. Looking to regain the lead here.
Just so much pressure coming in. A chance for Typical with 15 boost. And get that goal. No, it does pinch out wide with AJ lurking, waiting, wanting something to fall in their favor. Only 90 seconds left, and there is so much aggressive play going on from either side. Attempting to prevail over the other, and Typical with that back boost may well continue this push for FaZe. Good clear from Daniel. With that right wing, he can steal that mid boost away, and Rettles gets called off by Arsenal. That's open for Daniel, but First Killer, the man of the hour, pushing him away.
Final minute. Arsenal into his corner. Rettles versus First Killer, pinches in front of the box. Daniel picks up control. Launches it to the sky. AJ on the wall, tries to read. Has to go all the way to Typical on the backboard. Now First Killer, alone in the sky. Flip reset, chases it down, but Arsenal picking it up on the given space. Now Rettles, demolition onto AJ. Typical alone in net. Rettles over the double tap, doesn't find it. Daniel muscles it through. They've got the lead with only 38 seconds left to win.
Rettles with that brilliance above the goal line manages to get that tiniest touch over onto the crossbar. Daniel to follow up just by pushing through with a hurried shove through both defenders. Only one goal separating them. Space Station Gaming lead. Only 30 seconds remains between them and a grand final.
AJ spiked up control, passes the first kill, and Arsenal covers it up.
Right.
What an interception. Back down the field. Final 30. Reynolds trying to extend the lead and put the nails in the coffin. Sypical's got control. Arsenal has to block, and they just cannot get through Arsenal in the midfield. Finally, 2 players commit, and Arsenal won't be able to find a challenge. Sypical covering him up. Arsenal chasing with an aggressive ball chasing style on the retreat. But AJ demolished. Final 10. It's all up to FaZe. Spacestation looking for revenge from yesterday. Sypical covers it up. AJ's here, trying to extend it to overtime. Clock's expired. No one's in the area. Off the bounce. Daniel's up for it just to fake it out. Ball's dead in the corner. No one's going to be able to keep this one up for long, and Spacestation will look for G2 in the finals.